I wanted to share a few things about technology, just to kind of give you a little bit of an idea where we're at with technology. Every year we continue to add smart boards to our classrooms. We're a little over halfway now. We add about 5 smart boards a year between the PTO and our general funds, and we've begun to see a trend. And the trend is that the older versions, the projectors are starting to go on them. And to upgrade them, you want to get a new projector, and they call it retrofitting them. And it costs around $2,100 to retrofit a board. For instance, right now our projector in the media center is one of the first ones we put in the school. It's called a Generation 2 board, and now they want it to retrofit it to Generation 4, which costs around $2,000. So I began to see this pattern forming where I was taking 1 step forward and 2 steps back in regard to the cost of these boards. Though I thought they were, impactful, and at the time they were cutting edge, right now it may not be the best avenue to continue for us to take. So I've been on the phone with some people and talking to some different folks, and I'm going to visit a school, and that's why I wanted to start early today. I'm actually going from here to Hopewell High School to see how they're doing something. But the idea is to use the iPad more and be able to use Bluetooth technology with a projector and actually be able to run not necessarily exactly like a smart board, but use this as your smart board. And an example would be if I was teaching a skill on whatever, multiplication, and instead of having the kids come up to the whiteboard and manipulating the items on the smart board itself, the teacher would now be able to move around the classroom with their iPad, and then they could walk up to the parent and say, or this child, solve that problem, and they would work it out on here, and it would project up onto the screen. So you wouldn't be able to go up and manipulate it on the screen anymore like you do now, but they would be able to do it this way. And you can still use it for the same types of things that you would be able to use it before. If you wanted internet access and you wanted to pull something up, a video or whatever, you could still do it through this technology. And then when you were finished, you unhook it, and you also have an individualized technology device for your classroom to use. So if you were working in small groups and workshop and you wanted students to work on rote skills, you could do that. The cost of it is 1/3 of what it costs for a smart board. And they use a program called SplashTop, which is an interactive program that you can get on your iPad. And so what I'm going to do is go visit Hopewell High School to see exactly how it works and if it works effectively. If it does work, I think this is where we're going to be heading in regard to future technology. I talked to Scott Murray, who's the head of technology for the school system, and he's kind of led me in this direction in regard to where to go with this. As I said, the smart board at the time was a wise choice for us, but as we go further into the process, we need to veer as technology is changing. So we're going to kind of check that out and see what it is. But just to kind of give you an idea of the cost, a smart board costs in the range of $4,300, give or take. This process would cost you, because of next year we're going to start that bring your own technology process you may have seen in the paper a couple weeks ago, and I'll make sure at the next chat we'll talk about that a little bit more. But students will have access to wireless in the school setting starting next year. At least that's the plan if they can iron everything out. So basically what that will mean is that you don't have to get a 3G iPad. You can just use wireless, which is a cheaper version of your iPad. And you would pay in the range of $600 for the iPad versus the $800. You wouldn't have to get as much as memory as you may have for your personal one. And then you would pay around $400, for the projector. And then, whatever the application software, the SplashTop cost, I think it's $10.99 or something like that. And then so you've taken a $4,500 product, and you just dropped it to right around $2,000, at a high end, and you have also an individual device. So when you're not using the interactive site where you're walking around the classroom, you now can have a small group doing an activity or things like that. So that's kind of where we're heading if it works. I'm going to go, like I said, this morning I'm going at 9 o'clock just to kind of see how it is done at a high school. I'm really not interested in the content they're doing with it. I'm more interested in the application. How does it work? How does it talk to each other? Those kind of things. I also wanted to, and if you're interested more in this, and I'm not going to have time to go into it as deep as I wanted to, but I just, a lot of parents wonder why are we doing this and why is technology being used, and it's just the next hot thing and things of that nature. And I know it can be seen that way in a lot of cases, but I think it's how you use the technology. And one way that you can do that, and I wanted to show some examples of how teachers are using it, and I wanted to show you some of the different ways it can be used. I'll show you some of the apps. I just pulled a few apps just so you could see them. I thought in this setting it would give you the opportunity to take a look at it. One of the ways is to try to help kids be more creative. A lot of our children struggle with writing as a process. So there are apps out there that you could use to help invigorate that writing process. So just to give you an example, there's one called Toontastic that's, and these are free, by the way. You know, so if you have an iPad, you can do this. But just so you could see it, this is one I did. And basically what you could do is if you had a child that was struggling with writing, you could have them act out their story at first. And this is a program where you can actually go into the program, and no, I don't work for this company. Where's mine? I think this is it. Basically, you go in and you have to set the setting, your characters, and then you basically have what's happening in the story. You know, basically follow your plot line until you get to your climax, and you even set music to it. So you can say, you know, if this is an exciting part of the story, what type of music would you use to set the mood, so on and so forth. So, excuse my example, but I'm going to show you my example, just to kind of give you an idea, and then the kids could write about what they come up with.
Once upon a time, there was a knight that visited the J.V. Washam Castle. The knight saw the princess at the gate, and he wanted to offer up his horse. But she decided to walk back into the castle. The great knight saw this as a challenge. His horse sat down as they waited and decided how they were going to get the princess to come back out.
But it's a great way if your child is struggling with writing to get them to talk out what their story is and then begin the writing process.
Yes, Princess. Is this only an iPad app?
This is.
Will it be any tablet?
All I want to do
I'm not sure.
Well, with what you're talking about technology-wise, will it work for any tablet? Because, like, I went shopping the other day, and the iPad's not for what I need it for,
Right.
so I couldn't go the iPad route because it didn't have the SD card capability
Right.
and all these other things.
USB.
Right. Didn't have what I needed
Flash.
for it to do, so I had to go with the Toshiba tablet instead.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's going to be part of our research and what we're going to do.
And then the iPad 3 is coming out next month.
Exactly. Now, the rumor with the iPad 3, I was hoping, because I do keep track of it, I was hoping it was going to have the USB. I was hoping it was going to have flash access. Initially, those were the rumors. Now, I don't think so. It's supposed to have a faster processor, but it's not even 4G, I don't think, yet. Yeah, I kind of keep tabs on that kind of stuff because I'm kind of a techie. But
well, and it's all, you know, iPad is all iTunes based, so everything you do or upload or has to go through
they
iTunes,
have the market.
And if it's not a compatibility, which I love iTunes for that aspect of downloading music, but trying to put music on, if I want to download
other devices,
download from another music source,
they're a monopoly.
Copy and transfer, so I have two. You know, and then putting it onto my iPad, not on my Nano that I have, it was like, oh my gosh, way too much to do.
Well, here's another one. I mean, and again, I just wanted to show you some examples, and I just pulled a couple of them off because I do have teachers using them in the classroom right now. We have several. As part of the Jimmy Johnson grant, we're going to get 2 carts of iPads that we can use, and you know, by the time we have them next year, our hope is that we'll be using these in the classroom on a regular basis. But a lot of teachers have their own. We have several that we are using in the classroom and sharing. This is one that is being used. It's going to be used in kindergarten. Miss Nicastro uses it a lot. She's one of our new kindergarten teachers. But just to kind of give you an example, we have students that struggle with letter recognition. Simple skill, you know, we've used flashcards in the past, but again, another way to engage a child in a simple task. And there's not much to it. You basically have to pick the correct letter. If you miss it, it says you got it wrong. Right.
Sweet.
And, you know, but if you do it, it goes. So, you know, simple things like this.
Super.
So, you know, that's another one. Now, there's other ones that students have struggles with not only the writing portion, but also the letter recognition. So there's other capability.
Does it have, by chance, a app for Hooked on Phonics? Because that's exactly how I taught my kids.
Yeah, they probably do. They probably have a cost on that, though.
There's an app for everything.
Yeah.
There's an app for everything.
Yeah. I tell you, hands down, that was like the best $150 investment I ever did to be able
Now, they don't cost that much.
Well,
but they're
but
yeah.
full-on books and stuff
Yeah.
back in the olden days.
Yeah, and you can also get books. I mean, it's a cool
It's
tool.
like the encyclopedia.
Yeah.
Pretend
Now,
encyclopedia
this is
20 for the iPad.
teach sounds.
Right.
Teaching students
With-
how to do
with
it properly.
letter
Right.
recognition, which is what it should be.
Right. Now, if I do it wrong, it won't let me. It teaches you to make sure your formation is the correct way. So, and then you get it correct. Now, again, simple things that teachers have done for years. So you're not talking about a change in best practices at all. You're just looking at the medium you're using to engage a kid in it. So I just wanted to show you some of these, and it goes even further. You know, those are very primary activities when you talk to lower grade students, but there are some things you can do as a whole group.